Well, hello, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Here we are for more, ready for more action. The week has come to an end. Today is the 17th of October, year of our Lord 2025. And we're still moving through on these introductions on the characters. So Lenny is going to be next. Um, so I want to set that up. So let's see here. There we go. All right. Um, so I got to think about how I want Lenny to come in. Let's see. Uh, well, he should come into frame. Hmm. Well, let's see. I mean, I guess let me see here. Let me. Okay, I'm going to use the black color. Let's see. We'll set the pin size for 7. Let's see. Maybe he comes in over here. Let's see. I guess he could step into frame. You know. Uh, oh, well, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. You could like do a thing like this where he comes in from the side. Hmm. Let's see. Let me make that smaller so you guys can see around me. Let's see. So yeah, maybe he comes in. Like maybe he comes in from this side of this frame and stops. Hmm. And then his name would be on that side. Let's see. He could do that. He could do that. Hmm. Or he could come in and spin on his back and pop up. Of course, I don't know. I think that's a little much. Because the idea is that he says it. His name is being said. So the idea is that it should be kind of quick. Um, so he really should just come in, boom, in his name. So if he came spinning it, that's going to take at least a second or two. So I don't want to beleaguer him being coming in the frame. Let's see. So yeah, I mean something like this isn't bad. Hmm. Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean he could just he's got to kind of come into frame. I mean Jason came in, he leaned in. Miguel dropped down from the top. So let's see here. I'm gonna let me try a different thing here. Let's see. Let's see. Well, let's see. What if? Hmm. Well, I kind of like. Okay, I kind of like something like this where a character kind of does the. Let's see, how would that be? That would be the pointing over their shoulder kind of thing. Kind of like that. But I would want to get. Let's see. I want to get the hand clear, so you get a. Because you want to. One of the things that you want to do when you're animating the character. Um, you want to get a clear. It's always a good idea to have a clear silhouette on a character. You know, The reason being is that that reads really clearly. Now, I would have him, if I have him leaning into the frame kind of similarly to what Jason did, maybe I'd have him, let's see, I guess it could be, let's see, how would I want that to go? Well, he could be closer to the frame. He could be closer to camera. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, he could be, well, okay. Let's see. Well, first of all, I think I want to just get a welcoming type face on him here, so I'll do this first and see if something occurs to me after I get the drawing. Because sometimes what happens when I'm trying to figure something out like this, I have to start putting something down on paper before it starts to kind of gel in my mind. So, okay. So I want to get kind of a hopeful, happy face on him. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, maybe. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this the other day about the program that you can draw, where you can draw on the paper, and then it'll record your stuff on a tablet. I'll try in some upcoming videos. I may not do it today, but to let you know what that software is if you haven't found it already. I think it's called Syncify. If I'm not correct about, I think that's what it's called, Syncify, because you buy a tablet that goes with the program, and what it does is it synchronizes to your drawing on paper. So you do your drawing on paper, but it synchronizes with a tablet. So, all right. So anyway, so oh yeah, so this might be a good way to go here. So like I could have him pointing behind him like this, and I'm kind of doing three fingers on the kids. Yeah. So maybe, yeah. I think he has long sleeves, doesn't he? I think so. Check that. Yeah, 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 he's wearing a shirt that's long sleeve. So yeah, he could be gesturing behind him, and I could have him lean into frame. I could even have him like he's, let's see, maybe dropping back into frame. Let's see. I always try to find that one drawing, especially if it's a quick scene, trying to find that one drawing that I think kind of represents what the scene is about. So in this case, let's see, what do I have? The eraser set pretty big. Let me bring it down. So in this case, it's just really about getting him into that final position, you see. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's finding that one drawing. There's always like key drawings in a scene that kind of say that's what the scene is. You know, even sometimes really long scenes. Sometimes it's really just. I noticed that Milt Kahl, when I was working at Disney, I would look at. Of course, we all looked at Milt Kahl's work because she did such beautiful work. Um, it seemed like, in a way, and I think Eric Larson kind of brought this out one time in one of his analyses of Milt's work, was that we'd noticed that he'd have a page of drawings, all of the same pose, and it was like, and Eric would say, and I think he was right about this, it was like Milt was trying to find the one drawing that represented what the scene was about, which makes so much sense because a lot of times you have an impression when you walk away from a scene or an action. Usually there is an impression that you're going to get that is the key thing in the whole scene. So if you're taking the time to find out what that one attitude or whatever is, it's not time that's wasted. It's time that's utilized well. So it's a very good practice. Of course, Milt was better at it than most of us. But looking back now, I realize that makes perfect sense to do that. So there we go. All right. So, well, so what we could do here then is, all right. So let's see. I always like to start out with 4 frames on every drawing here. So, all right. So I'm gonna add. Let's see. I'm gonna add after, and I'll turn on the onion skin down here. So I'm thinking, and then I'm going to reverse it. So right now I've got the the drawing that I've just added after. I have that behind this frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the blank drawing and put it in the front. Okay, so that blank drawing is the first drawing. And then I think what I'm going to do is have the character kind of in a crouching down kind of action, like he's anticipating bringing his hand into the scene. Yeah. See, he's down in the previous frame here. He's down there, and then he's going to be up here. So he's down, like that's the anticipation, and then up. And I probably would have him come even into the scene to get to this first position. So what I'm going to do here, all right, I think this will work. I'm going to take the head on the second drawing, so we'll get our select tool, and we'll grab the head. Okay. And then I'm going to copy that, come back over here to the first drawing, paste it. Then I'm going to use the little thing here to turn the drawing. I think this will work. I'm going to bring this down to here. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to erase out the areas where the first drawing intersects. Okay. And then I'm also going to I'm going to close the character's eyes. So I'm going to have him like in an anticipation. I'm going to bring his eyes closed and maybe do something like this. Finish off the hair here. Let's see, he's got his arm, his shoulder up into the scene there. And then this, we're going to have the thumb back like he's anticipating to come into that point. Okay. So, all right, so you see what we've done here. We start him out there, and then he's going to end up there. So it's an anticipation, and then there. Now what we could also do here is get him into the frame. So let's do this. We'll add another drawing after here, just a blank drawing. And we'll also change the position. Let's see, is that one? Yeah, we want to put this in the front. So we'll go over here to the top right corner. You'll see the little icons here that have arrows over them. What that does is that moves the drawing from one position to another. So like in this case, this blank drawing, I'm going to hit this first icon here. And what it's done is it's brought that blank drawing to be the number one drawing. All right, now let's see. So now I want to do an action to get into that first frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second drawing here. I'm going to grab it, select it. I'm going to copy it, go to the first drawing, paste it, and then I'm going to move this drawing up. But I'm going to also start to move it a little bit out of the frame. Because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the effect of him coming into an anticipation and up. So the idea then, I'll show you. So the idea is he's coming down and then he's coming up. See? That creates a kind of, well, it's the anticipation. So what I want to do there is I want to extend the action so that it has a little bit of a kick to it. Now, these frames here would be faster than these. So let's say this first frame, I could even, okay, well, here's what I'll do. I'm on this one, I think I will do a, yeah, okay. I'll add after again, a blank frame. And then I'll move that frame again to the front. Okay. Then I will take this second frame, and I'll go to the select tool, grab this drawing, copy it, go to the first frame, paste it, but I'll move this. Now see, I was moving it down before. I'll move this up and out a lot more so that it has a little bit more angle of it coming in. So now I've got, well, here, let's just flip it and look at it. You see? Yeah. That gives it some emphasis, right? Because that's what I'm trying to do. So I want to get, so what I'll do is when I get down, okay, to the last frame here, okay, so I'll duplicate this last frame after. And this will be the one that says Lenny. So let's see. 20 I E. And then this one, I'll hold this frame a little longer so that it'll be on the screen. I'll put it up here for 12 frames right now. Yeah. There you go. So now it's just going to be a matter of, how I time it, how I get a little bit of kick in the action as we're going up into this frame and settling. Now you see how I was able to accomplish this once again with very little. I used the drawing that I had, and I really so far I've only made two really different drawings, but you can see how I've positioned them to create the scene. So but once again, as an animator, as having obviously a lot of experience as an animator, it's easier sometimes for me because I can envision what's going to happen. And I already kind of know what needs to happen in terms of drawings. When you're starting out, those of you who are novices, complete novices, you're not going to know that. You're not going to know, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that, save myself some time. And that's part of the reason why I talk about this stuff as I'm doing it, and I want to try to be as descriptive as I can because I want you to get a sense of how am I thinking about the scene as I'm working on it. Because these are the kind of things that you don't know when you're an animator. When I was working at Disney Studios, where I got my basic training, nobody talked about specifically what they did from one drawing to the next. I suspect there were people who maybe did sit over someone's shoulder and just, watch them. I spent time with Glenn Keane. I spent time with, I think, Randy Cartwright. I certainly spent a lot of time with Chuck Harvey. Chuck Harvey was an animator who we sat in the room together. And so I could watch Chuck work. But, I had work to do myself. So it wasn't like I could just spend all my time watching someone else. And whenever we'd have a seminar or something like that where people would talk, you can only get so much from this a lot of times. And the magic of how animation happens, when you see the final thing that someone's doing, it does kind of seem like it's magic, when the characters come to life. So I'm saying what I'm saying to say that what I'm trying to do with these tutorials is talk to you about what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So that and that's why I do it over several days, and this is also why I don't do recordings that are like an hour or two, and I condense them down into a 10-minute thing, and then you got to go back and look at it frame at a time. I don't want to do that because there's just way too many things going on in the process of making animation. And I feel as a teacher, I need to talk to you step by step and explain. And I even think that sometimes, even on these things, I'm not necessarily always explaining every little thing. I try to. But I realize, as I've been doing this now, that even I have sometimes not, I probably may have done something and it wasn't clear to you as I was doing it. So I apologize for that. I'm going to try to always be as descriptive and as clear as I possibly can be, because that's how it helps you. And it's not like I'm the great animator or anything like that, but I do have experience, and I would want you to benefit from that. Okay? Okay? All right then, so there you go. So look, we're at the end of the week. As you know, I take the weekends off. Sabbath. I honor the Sabbath. Yes, that's one of the commandments. God said to do not always honor the Sabbath, keep it holy. Well, I believe that means God rested, we should rest. So I'm going to rest, more or less. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Don't forget to thank God for your talents and gifts. Each of us has something very unique and special from God. Whether you believe in God or not, you still have those special gifts. The world is not the way it is out of some crazy design God has. People say that God is in control. Well, no. God is not in control of the crazy, stupid stuff that's going. The crazy, stupid stuff that's going on in this world is one because of the enemy, Satan, the thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and number two is us. Our free will interferes with what God's trying to do, and that's the reason why we have the chaotic things going on in the world. However, when you become a Christian and you accept Christ, then now God can get involved. God's a perfect gentleman. He's not going to violate your will. There'd be no reason to give you a will if he's going to tell you everything. He protects your right to decide what you want to do with your life. And even if that means disobeying him, God will protect your right. So, anyway, there's your sermon for the day. Have a beautiful weekend, folks. And don't forget, Jesus is Lord.